situación de nuestra Guayana Esequiba, de acuerdo a lo establecido
according to what it is established in the Geneva Agreement ratified by popular mandate on December 3rd, 2023, as the only mechanism valid to settle the dispute. All of it to have an Esequibo prosperous, happy, dynamic and integrated to the rest of the Republic, because the Esequibo is Venezuela. The Esequibo is ours, and the son of Venezuela is born in the Esequibo. I swear it. So the God and the homeland of the Guayana Esequiba. So you are the swearing as the first governor of the Guayana Esequiba state. Congratulations.
We were looking at live images from Venezuela.
So we will put the search for the Guayana Esequiba for the citizen Sanchez.
Podemos apreciar.
We're looking at the inauguration, the swearing in of the first governor of the Guayana Esequiba in Venezuela. He has just pledged his oath to start this mandate. Let's recall that during the last regional elections, Venezuela elected its first governor to the state of the Guayana Esequiba. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was also present, and we're looking at live images that come from Venezuela as following these state elections. In the past days, we have seen authorities from the different states in Venezuela take their roles, their new positions, in this case for the state of the Guayana Esequiba. That was the swearing in of Neil Villamizar, the first governor of the Guayana Esequiba in Venezuela. Those are images from that inauguration.
Citizen Delcy Rodriguez Gomez, Vice President, Executive Vice President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, whom I really appreciate to be here today, because you represent the generation, the current generation, the most profound defense of what it is the rights of our Guayana Esequiba. You have represented us in different international institutions, and you have doing it extraordinarily. And so for us, that we are just leading this fight together with you, we are very honored that you are accompanying us today. Citizen Minister Héctor Silva, thank you for being here. Citizen Arsenio Gonzalez, President of the Directive Board of the Administrative Council of the Guayana Esequiba State, first Legislative Council of this new state of Guayana Esequiba. Citizen Julio Covey, Vice President of the Legislative Council of the Esequiba State, and the Citizen General Deputy to the National Assembly, and we feel very proud. Thank you, my General, for being here for this fight of so many years. Citizen Jerry Salazar, Commander of the National Guard, and deputies all of the National Assembly, elected for the first time for our Guayana Esequiba state. Thank you all for your tremendous collaboration. Legislative Council of the Guayana Esequiba State, Legislator Marlene Vargas and Luis Miranda, all the legislators here, judicial authorities of the Guayana Esequiba state, siblings of the Guayana Esequiba state, and distinguished guests, friends here present. First of all, thanks God, powerful and almighty, for giving us this beautiful opportunity to live this moment, this so special moment for our Guayana Esequiba state, for the Claritas, for the Dorado, for the whole Venezuela, because the Esequibo is a national feeling. The Esequibo is ours. Long live Guayana Esequiba state. So it is a historical day for the homeland. We are living what I call the times of recovery of our Guayana Esequiba. We can compare it to the citizens of Judea or Palestine in the times in which Christ was become man and began to do their charity. Many people didn't understand it at that time, but time and history revealed us what had happened there. That the birth of the greatest religions in history, Christianism. And we can say the same in the times of independence. Bolivar and our liberators, the soldiers, men of the homeland, were there struggling for our freedom. Maybe some citizens didn't understand what was really happening, but once again, the history was in charge of explaining us what happened. The independence, the full independence of Venezuela and South America from the Spanish Empire. The same maybe when we saw Hugo Chavez made the whole work that raised the national feeling and refounded the republic, because today, after 25 years, we are just making real and comprehending what it meant, the Bolivarian socialism of the 21st century. It is now the times, the history vindicated all activities, all actions that had happened in the world, and I personally think that we are living in times of recovery of the Guayana Esequiba with a steadfast step. In just 18 months, wonderful things have been happening. We've just begun with a summon for the people to express their opinion on the dispute about the Guayana Esequiba. And so we just call for a referendum. So, raising 5 questions, the famous 5 times yes, that give life to that popular mandate, which was constituted and stipulated as an organic law for the defense of Guayana Esequiba, and this stemmed from the creation of the Guayana Esequiba state. The 5th question: do you agree with the creation of the Guayana Esequiba state and to carry out a special plan of action for inhabitants and be included in the official map of Venezuela? And the people said yes with absolute majority, with 95.9%, 10 million votes, and so the Guayana Esequiba state was created. And then there was designated an authority for there, a unique authority and a head of government. And finally, with this election on May 25th, it was elected for the first time a governor, a deputy, and a legislative council for the state. And here we are. Here we are, thanks to those firm steps that in less than 18 months we arrive here to June 5th, in which we are in a swearing-in ceremony, taking oath as a governor of the Guayana Esequiba state, the 24th state of our beautiful homeland. So now our commitment to carry out, to take all actions, all needed actions to create all set of conditions that allow us to boost in first place a solution to the dispute, to the controversy that must be settled according to the popular mandate on the referendum, must be solved within the framework of what is stipulated in the Geneva Agreement of 1966. Besides, now a strategy to take that to give all that to our people, to our Esequiba people, and that we serve as a momentum, as an engine to give the whole presence to our siblings Esequibas, because we all feel from the Guayana Esequiba. How do you feel here? I feel from Esequibo, citizen from Claritas. I feel Esequibo, from Esequibo, a citizen of Gallarin, of San Martin, Turumban, from kilometer 88 of Dorado. I feel from Esequibo, from... And that's the intention, to go ahead with a governmental program named Esequibo 70, derived from the Homeland Plan, which is organic law from the 2025-2031, the plan of 7 transformations, and this, according to our Commander-in-Chief and President Nicolas Maduro, this is going to be a popular government. We will boost a communal government because the good things are made by the people, and so we are going to focus on communal projects. We governed miners, we govern alongside agriculture producers, housewives, artisans, and alongside drivers, entrepreneurs, and all our indigenous people that represent over 90% of the population of our Guayana Esequiba state. Together, we will consolidate the Bolivarian Revolution, and the people will be the protagonist, a government in the territory and not in the office. I commented with our Vice President the main actions that we must take to have a real impact on the lives of our citizens, not only in our Sinfonte municipality, but also in the whole territory, toward that future of the Guayana Esequiba. Once this dispute be settled, and so we initiate a recovery plan, for example, of the highways of the San Martin Turumban one, which was a yield of all the people. Likewise, I just received the support of the energy minister Marquez, and he already reviewed the project to improve electricity and carried out the electricity toward Guayana Esequiba, and lately, in the upcoming days, there will be presented, very important, the Venezuelan citizenship of our Guayana Esequiba state. We will carry out campaigns of IDs, of approachment to our citizens of Guayana Esequiba, to show you that we love you, that you are so as Venezuela as us, and so we will carry out the healthcare, the education, and all pregnant women could give birth appropriately and be registered as Venezuelans as it must have been and as it will be from now on. So another important issue is the improvement of the transport, of the means of transport in the Cuyuní axis and Benamo axis. As the air transport, we were holding talks about the reactivation of the Tumeremo Airport with commercial character, nature, and we will continue bolstering all these projects for the benefits, for the sake of our Guayana Esequiba. Many tasks are to come. We are just being born as a state, and with the collaboration of the elected team of the deputies of the National Assembly and legislators of the Legislative Council of the Guayana Esequiba, we will go ahead with the construction of that institutionality. So it is like today, I will deliver to the Legislative Council of the basis for the bill of the Constitution, for the bill of the Constitution of the new state of Guayana Esequiba, for having a constitution and begin to function all institutionality in our state. In addition, I've been giving the proposals once the pertinent consultations being made with all sectors of society. We could have our anthem, our flag, and our shield for giving identity to our Guayana Esequiba state. I conclude giving myself to God and the Virgin of the Valley and to all our indigenous ancestors, requesting their guidance and protection, requesting the support of my family and all special beings surrounding me, to conduct me, to lead me and our team of government to boost the wonderful path that awaits us and lead us to the happy fulfillment of the great mission, with our great national goal, which is the recovery of all our rights and sovereignty, that for history and justice belongs to us over the Guayana Esequiba, and on the occasion of the bicentenary of our liberator Simón Bolívar, there on December 17, 2030, we could shout, "Liberator Bolívar, you just sow in fertile lands in the Esequibo lands, men and women willing to give all for the homeland. Long live homeland, long live our Guayana Esequiba. We will ever and walk to victory." Thank you very much.
We were listening to the inauguration of the new government in Venezuela of the state of the Guayana Esequiba. Let's recall that this is the first time, the last state elections were the first time that Venezuelans elected a governor for the state of the Guayana Esequiba, in this case, Neil Villamizar, and we were just looking at his inaugural speech in which he was addressing the people, also talking about the importance of the territory. We were looking at the importance of this significant event. We were saying at the elections that were just recently passed, the 2023 referendum were a significant moment for Venezuela to reclaim its historic claim on this territory of the Esequibo. And
good afternoon. Warm hugs of our president Nicolás Maduro. My heart beats very strong when I say governor of the Guayana Esequiba state. We've got a governor in these Venezuelan lands. For the first time in history, I want to greet lawmakers of the Legislative Council. I ask you to stand. Congratulations. I want to say that the national feeling accompanied the elections of the authorities of the Guayana Esequiba, and this state has been the most voted of the whole elections on May 25th, 2025. I want to greet from the bottom of my heart to the General Deputy Pompeo, teacher of teachers in the defense of our Guayana Esequiba. I remember that I was a foreign minister, and kindly President Nicolás Maduro said to me that I got a teacher that Chavez recommended me, and I want you to meet with him and talk about the Esequibo. And from that time, I could say, General, that my life has another path for the profound feeling of love to Venezuela, to our history. Thank you very much, legislator. Thank you, legislator Gloria Castillo. Congratulations. Congratulations, Jorge Rivas. Lawmaker Carlos Pacheco. Congratulations. Legislator Johan Corazep. Congratulations. Deputy Jorge Fugues. Congratulations and thanks for all your support. Greetings to the President of the Legislative Council, Arsenio Gonzalez. Congratulations to you all. I have to name you all because right now we are just writing history. It was born the political idea of our Guayana Esequiba state. We've got an idea to act and live in the territory that belongs to us. No one has doubt about it. There are two historical truths. That when we were born as a republic, this territory belongs to us. So we've got a legitimate right. And the second great truth was the plunder and the robbery committed by the English people. There by the 1840, when it started the plot of the strategy plot of the robbery of our land, and then Simón Bolívar, the greatest man, made a strategy against the English Empire, who was plundering all our resources. And as President Nicolás Maduro has just denounced the robbery of the River Orinoco to control the territory, and a very thoughtful a very well thought strategy by the British Empire. Well, a hug for our legislator. And so the concept of robbery, of plundering the resources of the people, so Venezuela was subjected to it. And so this plundering was one of the tragedies that we have been living through as a country. And the history is long, but we must know it and understand it. And so we must understand why the England Bank is stealing from us the gold of Venezuela. And it is not the first time, because over a century ago they have been just robbing our resources, and that's the in 1897 it was signed the Treaty of Washington, which is the first treaty of the Monroe Doctrine in history, of the concept Americans for Americans, in which the United States said to Europe, this hemisphere is mine, and there they just sealed a deal, the deal of Washington, the Treaty of Washington, for the fraud, which implied to the 1899. And so the strategy is the same. As the England Bank is stealing the gold of Venezuela, they are just intending to go to the International Court of Justice to replicate what was the fraudulent 1899 Act. As our governor said, the controversy over the Guayana Esequiba territory has only a unique path, which is the Geneva Agreement of 1966. In that agreement, it is recognized that there was a plunder. It is recognized that there is a controversy that must be settled. It is recognized the injustice committed against Venezuela, and it is established that the mechanism of negotiation is the diplomatic way. And if you studied what was the development of the Geneva Agreement of 1966, signed by the British government, by Guyana and Venezuela, you would realize that the Guyanese strategy was never to go to negotiations. It was always present bad faith, and that bad faith has the maximum expression when, while we were sitting on the facilitation process in the years 2016, 2017, while Venezuela, on a good faith by the leadership of President Nicolás Maduro, made concrete proposals of the rights of the mother nature on the Essequibo, which have been destroyed by the predator action of the Guyanese government to preserve the sea, to preserve the whole ecosystem of this territory, to present proposals for our indigenous communities from the Essequibo. At that time, Guyana, at the backs of Venezuela, was negotiating with the ExxonMobil and with the International Court of Justice, in which they were wanting to validate the titles of the territory, and they don't have a title of because there cannot be a title on a plunder and a robbery. And so it is written by the Minister of Natural Resources of the Guayana Esequiba, and so he explained it very clearly in a book, and he was denounced by corruption. Why? Because at the time that we were negotiating, they were just paying lawyers, but who gave money to pay lawyers? The ExxonMobil. $18 million, and there they arrived at The Hague at a private plane paid by the ExxonMobil with the attorneys of the ExxonMobil. There they arrived to lie and to pretend they have a title that they never had, and Venezuela would never recognize or allow sentence of that court. Enough tragedy represented the fraudulent 1899 Act, And there it was established that the affairs as of that tragedy, as of what it meant, the fraudulent 1899 Act, the vital matters of our republic, of the territorial integrity, the peace, would never be delivered to third parties, to any court. Never. Therefore, we didn't recognize in 1945 the establishment of the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice to settle the dispute of the Guayana Esequiba. We will never recognize the jurisdiction because this process has been manipulated by giant transnationals, by all tremendous riches that are in this territory, which they are intended to impose on an unjustified way. And Venezuela never allowed this. And another aspect that was very clear, explained in this book, they just pay a lobby at the United Nations for the case to be sent to the International Court of Justice. And so Venezuela was just presenting a plan and concrete proposals over our territory on a diplomatic negotiation with Guyanese authorities. The deceit that always was present in the plunder, like it happened years later, previous years. And here we regret so much what was happening, and the institutions and authorities of the Guyanese of Guyana are just bribed by the interests of transnationals that even in 1870 they just saw the greatest riches that are in this territory. And so they violated the Geneva Agreement of 1966, and our stance is very clear. The only mechanism to settle the dispute is the Geneva Agreement, and as our governor said, we had a referendum on December 3rd, 2023, in which the whole Venezuelan people supported greatly the Geneva Agreement, and the Venezuelan people decided that the only mechanism was the Geneva Agreement. And so Venezuela will defend with all tools of the international right to defend our legitimate right. And so that referendum that had 5 questions, and the Venezuelan people said they didn't recognize the 1899 Act. They recognized the Geneva Agreement, and they agreed on creating the Guayana Esequiba, which was enacted by the National Assembly and then the President Nicolás Maduro. And the clear mandate was to create the Guayana Esequiba. And we are just giving the first steps to validate what was the mandate of the sovereign people of Venezuela, who doesn't let confuse for the oligarchic interests that over a century they intended to deliver the territory of our Guayana Esequiba. So to pay their own debts, they intended to deliver our Guayana Esequiba. It is not surprising how the extremism and fascism intend to negotiate this territory, which cannot be negotiated. And the English people must be clear that we will defend with our lives this territory. And so we will never cede a square kilometer to this territory that belongs to us. to us. So here we are, brothers and sisters, writing history in this significant act in this Bolivar Square. So we are with this same history to understand to attend the elections of mayors, municipal authorities on this Sunday. And so we will continue giving these steps, and President Nicolás Maduro in that lecture on 2023, he specified the different stages of history, and he said that this stage is Guyana, is the era of the recovery of Guayana Esequiba. It is our turn, it is on our shoulders, and you are at the vanguard, at the leading of this process of recovery. So President Nicolás Maduro requested us and governors and deputies to present the plan of action for the development of the Guayana Esequiba, for the comprehensive development in education, health, productive processes, energy, transport, the plan of development for Guayana Esequiba that are badly persecuted by the president of Guyana, finally, and it is very shameful what he and his vice president. They said that he's afraid of Venezuelan women from the Essequibo and from the whole territory. And so before the election, he persecuted our Essequibo people. He sent them to prisons, and he attempted desperately, and he went to the court, to the International Court of Justice, to try to hamper the elections, and this was the most voted state of Venezuela. There is national unity and total support, and the president has requested to consolidate the 1/10 system and the application of NAP for the whole Essequiban people. So, Governor, you must take care of the cases in coordination with the national government, and so he has requested the opening of the communal circuits halls, and so there is a briefing of all communal circuits and all authorities, and so you, Essequibo, are the ones who are leading this process. Likewise, the installation of all social missions founded by Commander Chavez and consolidated by President Nicolás Maduro must get here to this territory. And the fourth strategic line, the real economy. This territory has been the most wanted for the empires, from the Spanish, English, US empires. So imagine yourselves the value it has. So we must have a plan of development for this territory, an economic, productive mining development. So we must continue making up the brigade of miners, and in agriculture, in arts. So we must give a great momentum, a great economic boost. And so it is a blessing that is reigning today. and he has provided the fifth line, which is to combat corruption, terrorism, and drug trafficking for the defense and consolidation of justice and peace. Peace must be our destiny, and so we must commit to it. And so the President has requested new methods of government, less desk and more territory. And we here say that in the Guayana Esequiba we say zero desk and all territory for Venezuela. That is the motto for the Guayana Esequiba. This is the new method in this new era, in this new stage, as it is defined as the era of the full recovery of our legitimate rights. And so, dear brothers and sisters, the land of Guayana Esequiba, you know that was fundamental for reaching the first independence. The land of the Guayana Esequiba was essential to guarantee the liberation of the great homeland. It was only possible for the independence of Venezuela, and so I tell you that symbolically, the independence of Guayana Esequiba, the defense for Venezuela, is our second independence, and it is guaranteed our victory. So national unity, let's go for this second independence for our Venezuela, for our the start of Guayana Esequiba that lead us to triumph and victory. Thank you very much.
We were listening to Delcy Rodriguez, Vice President of Venezuela, speaking at the inauguration of the first governor of the Guayana Esequiba, the state that elected its first authority in the last regional elections that took place just days ago. As we were looking at the inauguration, Vice President from Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, was addressing this moment. These were live images from Venezuela. We were saying at the inauguration of the new governor of the Guayana Esequiba state, Neil Villamizar, also presided by Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, following the last state elections that for the first time elected a Venezuelan authority to this significant territory reclaimed by Venezuela after the 2023 popular referendum. We will continue bringing you all the updates on this and other topics. Stay tuned with teleSUR English.